Oh yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
to add on to that, what she's saying, I feel like maybe that's what's happening is like we are all finding ourselves realigning. I think I spoke to Brad when we first spoke a couple months ago. Like, there's been this great realignment the past, specifically 5 years, but even before that, there's like been a realignment where we're like, what's going on? Like, we see the world is going in a direction, and there's some of us are like, whoa, I do not want to go in that direction. And we're finding ourselves newly aligned with people we might not have aligned with before. We're now making drum circles with people we never would have thought we would have drum circles before. I mean, Brad, maybe you can elucidate on that, because that realignment's a real deal, especially when you talk about emerging cultures, you know?
I look at it as the win-win culture. We're not a separation from our customers or our communities. It is, we have to be aware of the win-win, okay? Nobody's being exploited here. Everyone's benefited. I call it a stakeholder culture. It's co-created on behalf of everybody. Everybody benefits. Hopefully everybody sees that's working here. That's really how the sort of the energetic design of this thing. It's like a toroidal field. Energy in represents energy out. And if it's, everybody who comes here and is of service is getting something beautiful out of it. It's really just an energetic design. It's the way the universe has been constructed. And if we can go back to that pattern, then we might be able to build these cultures. It's the Intel chip underneath the culture. It's the power within.
I just want to add on that, because your original question was like the problems and what we've traditionally seen, and just a question is, how are we folding in the culture that currently exists when we're building these regenerative communities, the culture, and folding in the wisdom holders and the keepers in the lands. I look back to like a sadly failed an attempt at a conscious community when the Bhagwan came to Oregon. And Osho.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw that documentary on Netflix.
I've heard many stories.
It was really, really great concept, and it had so much potential, but they didn't consider the locals or the local culture, which was very more rural America.
I just moved into a rural community in the Bay,
yeah.
and I'm scaring the shit out of people because I'm walking around town and I literally freaked out, when I walk around town.
Yeah.
It's because of that, because of what happened in Oregon.
Yeah. So as we're thinking, how are we going to fold in those cultures as we're creating these new communities?
I love that, because I've spent many years as a farmer and permaculturist and helped co-create multiple communities, and sometimes I show up and I'm chatting with the people in the land, and I'm like, so who are your neighbors? And they're like, well, there's like this person, but we're a homestead. We're gonna be really self-sufficient. I was like, I don't know how that's gonna work if you don't know the guy with the tractor, if you don't know the person who's got the valve for the spring water, the well that's running, like this entire like the first thing I do is I go meet my neighbors. And we see this, and this might be a little more appropriate for your panel next, in other countries where we have a lot of Westerners going and buying land and starting these communities in other people's home. And it's like, we're regenerative, we're sustainable, here we are. Or even something like this, as Angel is speaking to, and how are we open to the local community? If we're in someone else's homeland, like I am meeting these people, I'm asking them how they steward the land. I want to know how I can be respectful. That relationship building is, it's my opinion, that when I do it, I also do astrology for people. People are like, I want security. This is my house of security. And it's like, I'm pretty sure relationships are the largest source of any sense of security we're ever going to get. You could sit on a mountain of gold, but if no one's there for you when you lose your wife or your husband or your parent, and you're sitting there alone with your gold, you're still in some deep, deep loneliness. So I'd like to speak to how we think we can really create a new story and keep these subcultures, these beautiful emergent cultures, traditional cultures, and keep these bridges open. How do you feel that we can stay integrated and respectful and honoring?